This is LBC with Matt Frei. Call 0345 6060 973.
So what do you want your MP to do on Tuesday in Parliament when they vote on this new tier system that's coming in? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to vote for the government or against the government? There is going to be a rebellion on the Tory backbenches by those who believe that the economy needs to be protected now, that the medicine of lockdowns is going to be greater and more harmful for the country than the original disease. Do you agree with them? If you do, or if you don't, call me, 0345 6060 973. Tons of calls coming in. Let's go to Karen in Ramsgate. Karen, you're on the air. What do you think should be done?
Well, I just want to say I'm the County Councillor, sit on the Health Committee for Kent, and so follow what's happening with regard to COVID very, very closely. And I'm appalled to hear both of the MPs this morning.
There was only one MP. So we had Sir Roger Gale on from Thanet. The other one was an expert.
No, there's yes, of course, there was Roger Gale, but there's also Craig McKinley.
Okay.
And they both said in different forums this morning that essentially the people of Thanet are to blame for this malaise.
Right.
But the thing that's happening here is we've got such deprivation. So we have child poverty running at 51% in some wards. We've got the highest rates of youth unemployment. We've got a life expectancy gap for women of 22 years. So you can see what's happening with COVID here is it's laying bare all of the poverty, all of the disadvantage that people suffer. And because people are very badly off, some people are working several part-time jobs, that helps to spread the virus. Some people are working in the grey market for cash only, that helps to spread the virus. People are not getting the sufficient statutory sick pay, so they're going to work when they're sick, because otherwise they're going to lose their accommodation, or fall into even greater debt. And I think one of the other things that's happening is the public health message is quite simply hitting home. People are not being given sufficient assistance to understand the message and to understand the importance of it. And I think that's the failing of both the MPs for this area, that actually what they're doing is they're kind of blaming the residents and knocking spots off them, when what they should be doing is fighting for greater resource.
I'm not sure if all of them are blaming the residents. I didn't hear Sir Roger Gale say it is the fault of the people of Thanet. What he's more worried about, I don't think he was blaming anyone specifically. He's more worried about the effects of this on the economy. But he also understands that, the restrictions have to be imposed. There are other Tory MPs who are much more outspoken against restrictions, against the lockdown, who are saying that, as I said earlier, that the medicine, the cure, is worse than the disease itself.
Well, that's debatable. It's theoretical, really, in economic terms. What we need to do is support people. As I just outlined, this is one of the poorest part. This is the poorest part of Kent, one of the poorest areas in the South East. It's got surprising poverty. If people are driven by poverty to get outdoors, to go to the shops on a regular basis, for instance, if you're really poor, you can't do a weekly food order and have that delivered to you, because you've got to spend more than £40 in most cases, and you've got to pay a small fee, even £2. For a lot of people, that is really pushing them. That's too much.
It's too much money. You're absolutely right. So what would you like? Sorry, Karen. Just briefly, what would you like the government to do now to deal with this appalling situation that they're not doing?
Right. So Thanet is kind of off the scale. We have a hospital that is approaching overwhelm, really. We don't want cases to stall, because we will find ourselves in a situation where the hospital can't accommodate them, and staff again will be absolutely overwhelmed. We need a better public health message. We need to solve this problem of statutory sick pay, actually, because people can't afford to be at home self-isolating whilst they're sick, because they're just plunging into...
But are you in favour of the restrictions? Are you in favour of the restrictions being imposed on places?
Yes, I am in favour of restrictions, and I understand it's very tough for people, say in Tunbridge Wells, where the infection rate isn't very high compared to what we've got here. But unless we address the issues here, unless we, for instance, bring in testing, and we need to do testing very soon here, because we really don't know. I tell you, I sit on that committee, we really don't know how the disease is being transmitted. Okay. So some people think it's school children. The evidence seems to suggest it's people of working age that are most infected, and therefore you could deduce that they're actually spreading the disease. I think the government have wasted the summer months when the virus started to dip and we didn't have the transmission rates, we didn't have that R rate issue going on. That was the time to do some serious planning. what the government are most guilty of is a failure to do any sort of long-term planning. They're guilty of a failure to listen to any of the experts and to put into place plans that would carry us through what's coming next. So this wave, that this is where we're having to deal with now. They also knew that poverty was a key issue and that cases would arise in areas with deprivation. And I think you can predict that Christmas time, post-Christmas, there's going to be another uptick. And so, you know, if only we had done some long-term planning, if only we had listened to Sage on the 3rd of September, we might not be in this predicament. But I think what the government need to do is more long-term planning. This knee-jerk reaction to each wave is, quite frankly, astoundingly bad government.
OK, Karen in Ramsgate and Andy in Islington, thank you very much to both of you. There you go, yet another glimpse of the debate that's going on just about everywhere in this country, in constituencies, around kitchen tables, and of course in Parliament when they had their all-important vote on Tuesday night. This debate is also taking place practically all over the world, certainly in countries that have been badly affected by COVID. It is happening all over Europe, but it is particularly pitched here in Britain because we seem to have fallen between two stools. We're doing very badly on the mortality rate. We're doing very badly when it comes to the economy. That is not a position that we should be in, but we are. That is, I'm afraid, the sad and sober truth a month before Christmas. So, what do you think your MP should do on Tuesday? Call me 0345 6060 973. I'm Matt Frei. This is LBC. The time is 10:31.